So this is the original iPhone SE. Released back in 2015, this thing is seriously getting on a little bit now. So I thought it'd be fun to try and use this thing as my daily driver and to truly rely on this phone in 2023. See if it's usable, see what its strengths are, what its weaknesses are, and answer the question posed in the title of this video: can you still use this thing in 2023? Well, without further ado, let's head right on into day one and find out. Day one was all about setting this thing up. I wiped it, installed the latest version of iOS, which was unfortunately iOS 15. Then again, that thing does have better voice recognition by far for some reason. I installed all the apps I knew I was going to be using over this week and got to using this phone. I decided to start out pretty heavy watching some videos, and this thing was dead within a couple of hours. Yeah, I think I may have underestimated this challenge initially. I've forgotten how much iPhone batteries have changed in the last few years. Not to mention the fact that this physical battery was years old at this point. So realistically, I knew I was going to have to get into the habit of bringing a charger with me. On day one, I also noticed the first of many random resets when this phone's battery started to drop fast, and this would be one of the main obstacles because if I didn't have the opportunity to charge my phone, it would become unusable. I finished today a little bit concerned with what I'd got myself into, unsure about whether or not I would be able to finish this challenge, as like most people, I rely on my phone to get me through my daily life. And so if it is physically faulty, that is going to be a problem. Day two, I decided to start using this thing as if I usually would. This started off by me sending some text messages, and immediately, coming from an iPhone 12 Pro, I found myself struggling to type. Whenever I go to send a message, I would find myself struggling to use this phone as this screen is so much smaller than what I'm sure we're all used to by now. However, I did have a couple of tricks up my sleeve. The first one is that voice dictation. As I already mentioned, iOS 15 and below, the voice dictation worked much better for me. It was only when iOS 16 came out that voice dictation, well, basically became unusable. We also have features like swipe, again, to help me get over that smaller screen, but it is important to remember that these are workarounds, and I didn't see myself getting used to the smaller keypad in the space of 1 week. Maybe not at all. I continued that day as I normally would with only one impromptu restart that day. I ended the day plugging it in for the third time and went to sleep still kind of worried about the rest of the week, as I hadn't really gone out the house with my phone for any extended period of time yet. And on day three, we were doing exactly that, leaving the house with my phone for an extended period of time. So I knew I was going to have to take some precautions. The first thing I did was pack a charger, which actually got left behind that day. And that day, my phone did the reset glitch before I even got to the destination I needed to go to. So I had to plug it in as soon as I got there. And the battery glitches were, at this point, seriously making me doubt my continuation of this challenge. Maybe this phone truly is too old for me to safely use as my daily driver. But nevertheless, I carried on, and I was, once I got this thing plugged in, able to get through my day with it. And I also noticed that the screen was becoming a little bit less of an issue for me on day three. I'm not sure whether my eyes or my grip had adjusted, but with those new texting techniques, I was able to get to grips with the smaller screen size, which is kind of cool. For the first time, I ended the day excited to see how used to this iPhone SE I could get, but still apprehensive at the same time. Day four was basically exactly the same as day three. I went out today, I took my charger. However, I didn't actually have any weird restarting issues today, which was nice. And overall, it was a pretty effortless day. I was definitely finding myself more and more used to the iPhone SE at this point. Day five, and this is a little bit of a weird one. I ended up going to an outdoor pursuit center, which was, well, fun, kind of weird for me. It was very out of the blue, but it was still a lot of fun. And obviously, I took my phone with me. Oh man, the battery life on this thing is truly appalling. Like, I had this thing fully charged before I left. I barely used it because I was, well, on a high ropes course, and this thing was dead by 2 o'clock, which, not great. Thankfully, I was going home at this point, so I didn't really need it because I was with people who had phones, and the rest of the day, I decided to relax and watch some videos. I found myself not necessarily bothered by the small screen anymore. In fact, I found it kind of charming how I could easily slip it into my pocket, or how I could hold it comfortably with one hand, and these are some things that I actually miss from the iPhone line at the moment. In fact, I think it's kind of a shame that the mini line got ditched. But yeah, I was pretty comfortable with the size of the screen by now, which was nice. I ended the day with some pretty solid conclusions about the iPhone SE, namely that I don't really think it's possible to daily drive this phone anymore, because even for somebody like me who doesn't really use their phone all that much, I still had my fair share of issues with the battery life and weird glitches like my phone restarting, then thinking it had no battery life left, which made the phone unusable for me. But I could still use it, I just wouldn't want to use it for any long periods of time. Day 6 and 7 were more of the same, and I had some time to reflect. Going back to what I was saying about not using this thing for long periods of time, last year I actually did use this thing for a slightly longer period of time. I was in between phones, and so I decided, seeing as I have this thing, might be fun to use it. I took this thing to Llandudno with me, and I almost couldn't get back because I had my train tickets on this thing, and it died. So yeah, to answer the question posed at the start of this video, can you still use the iPhone SE in 2023? Yeah. Should you still use the iPhone SE in 2023? No, especially if you've got one with issues like mine. Realistically, phones have come a long way since 2015, and so I really do think, unless you have no other choice, it is probably best to use something newer. So yeah, that wraps up my week with the original iPhone SE. Don't get me wrong, although I have had my fair share of complaints about this phone in this video, I do still truly love this phone. It was the first truly affordable iPhone, and so I do have a lot of love for this phone. But in 2023, this thing is more of a tech museum piece rather than a daily drivable iPhone. Alright guys, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Let me know, by the way, what do you think of the iPhone SE? Did you have one back in the day, or are you just fascinated by it? Feel free to let me know in the comments. I always enjoy reading those. As for now though, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, then smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.